PPM Motorhomes. The Spring Golf Classic, Monday, April 14th. Sign up now at sasportstar.com. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Spurs head coach Greg Popovich said through a statement from the Spurs that he's decided not to return to the sidelines this season, that Mitch Johnson and his staff have done a wonderful job with the resolve and professionalism with what the players have shown and sticking together through a challenging season. He will continue to focus on his health and hopes he can return to coaching next season.
Sports Center brought to you by Synergenics Testosterone and Weight Loss. Synergenicshealth.com.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge. What's up, Dad? Can't stop me now.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me, however you may be joining, whether it's on 94.1 on your FM dial, if you happen to be listening online at sasportstar.com via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player, or if you're watching on YouTube. That's right, you can watch all of our shows live via YouTube. Just search SA Sports Star on YouTube. Go ahead, like, subscribe, set the notifications for when we go live, and you can catch us there. Comment along with the show. Jacob Eric, Ram already in the chat. Ty Jones, Vince Trevino, welcome into the show. Appreciate everybody for riding along with me tonight. And like I always say to end the show, remember to check on the ones you love. You never know what people are going through in life. And it is, got hit with a gut punch today as we got set to end the show. But we will carry on, and so will the Spurs. They'll just be carrying on without Greg Popovich. And I look at it, and earlier this morning on the morning huddle, AJ and Rob, before we knew about the Greg Popovich situation, we're talking about last night's loss to the Rockets, and the score wasn't indicative of how poor of a performance it was for the San Antonio Spurs.
I don't know if it was carbon monoxide poisoning. I don't know what killed the San Antonio Spurs, but something has killed them, and now their bodies are being mutilated. This is now 4 straight losses for the Spurs.
13th in the West, 3-7 in the last 10. Swept by a team that has 11 wins, and 2 of them all season were them. Against them. The Rockets, there's no shame in losing to the Rockets in Houston. That's a good basketball team. But you got to give us something. And, there's so many excuses and reasons. You know how I fall back on that. And if you want to give excuses, man, these guys are exhausted. They're 300 miles from home. No, they're 150 miles from their house. They're going to be in their bed that night. I guarantee you they flew home tonight. They don't play till Saturday in Memphis. They're already here. They saw it coming, and they acted like it. They didn't show up to win last night.
How about 7 for 39 from 3?
And it wasn't like
7 out of 39.
Those were lazy threes too.
That is a 17.9% clip.
Mm-hmm. Lazy.
No one on the team made more threes that made over half their threes. Harrison Barnes went 1 for 2. Everyone else 0 for 2, 1 for 5, 1 for 4, 2 for 8, 1 for 5, 0 for 1, 0 for 3, 0 for 1, 0 for 1, 1 for 7. Pretty much a disaster. Here's what I will say is good. Jordan McLaughlin got on the floor.
Yeah.
Not that I think these guys are a part of anything, but Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley getting on the floor. It's like, okay, yeah, let's see what these guys can do. Give them a little bit of run. I don't know what the answer is, Rob.
There's no answer. It's just, how do you want to eat a crap sandwich? I mean, how do you want it served to you? Do you want it hot? Do you want it cold? But I mean, the goal is to lose. I mean, we know at the end of the day, we want W's. And, we get mad at collapses, but at least against New Orleans for 2 games, they battled for 3 quarters. I mean, we can argue about ineptitude and things like that, but they had leads. They hit shots. They hustled. Yesterday, they didn't do any of that. They didn't hustle. They got off the bus. They warmed up. They went through the motions. I told you in I used to have a coach who used to scream, "Are you a player or a participant?" Well, they participated last night.
Yeah.
They didn't play.
Well, the starting 5 of the San Antonio Spurs last night.
This is a horrible stat.
Put up a combined 27 points.
I mean, that's shameful.
27.
You look in the mirror and you walk into the locker room and you go, "What?" I don't know if you talk about it. I don't know if you yell at everybody, knowing everybody's just freaking exhausted, and there's no hope at the end of the tunnel. There's no somebody going to get healthy and we're going to make a run. This is a make it to the end situation. Let's just survive this. But you can't exist that way. The moment you go, let's get to the end, it's going to get twice as bad. And you can see it last night. So what do you want to get out of the next 3 weeks?
I don't know. Like, I get, you're not prioritizing winning anymore. I get it. I don't think you have to be embarrassingly bad to lose games. And also, let's keep in mind, so Tarek says, relax, guys. There's a method to the madness.
No, there's no method to last night. There's no method to that.
They're trying to do what OKC did. It'll pay off. Here's the thing, though. They already won too many games this year to be in the mix for one of those top picks. Like, it's just their odds of getting one of those top picks now is so slim. If they lost every game for the rest of the season, they would still be an underdog to get a top 3 pick.
We're 10 games behind New Orleans last I checked, right? Or something like that. They're not going to catch them. Now, we're hoping to get one of the bottom 4. I think they're hoping to fall into that category where it gets kind of even. But it's okay to lose. Well, it's never okay to lose. And players should never be the reason for the loss. What I'm saying is players need to go out and put good film out there. They're trying to further their career. Nothing bad should ever happen by inactivity or laziness on the court. That sticks. That stays. Film lives on. And you're trying to be a professional. You should go out and do everything you can to play as a winner. And that might involve passing instead of shooting. But what I'm saying, you play your hardest when you're out there. And it's up to the coach to substitute. It's up to the coach to give us the plays in the offense. You do your job. You star in your role, and everything else you don't have any control over. But this last night was an endemic, I'll get the next rebound. Yeah, it's his fault. He didn't help.
You get out-rebounded by 19.
Yeah,
it's their effort becomes questioned.
That's when you start looking at players, what are they thinking? And more importantly, how are the coaches allowing this to continue if they do? Because last night was inexcusable. You just, as professionals, you're not allowed to have nights like that.
That's a problem. And you saw it on the court yourselves. 3-4 guys on the Rockets crashing the boards to 1 Spur. And that's how you get out rebounded by 20 in a game. I understand the season's lost. Might as well get the best potential pick you can. But at the same time, this is a team that needs to learn how to play better basketball. And it has needed to learn this for multiple seasons now. And you're not going to learn how to play better basketball putting that crap, for lack of a better word, on tape. Ram says, if Pop doesn't come back next year, if his health prevents him from coaching a full season, other than Mitch, who can you really get to coach this team? It's a good question. And I'm sure that's going to be a big point of emphasis as we come to the end of the season and going into next year. Because you've got to keep people happy. De'Aaron Fox is eligible for an extension. Wemby is getting close to the end of his rookie deal. You have to start thinking about the future at some point. And the question now looms large. What is the future for Greg Popovich with this team? Will his health even allow him to return to the sidelines with the stress that puts on a human body and dealing with the effects of what he went through? And then you hear stuff like this from Mitch Johnson after last night's game.
I think their physicality. And then in addition, I think the most disappointing part of it all was I think they scored in the first 6 or 7 possessions. And it didn't feel like there was a real level of resistance for us. They made some shots. It wasn't like it was 7 dunks in a row. Jabari Smith did a turnaround. Brooks hit a couple threes. But there's a certain level of resistance sometimes where you just feel like, are you feeling them? Do they feel us? And things like that. And that first 6 or 7 possessions just didn't feel like it. Sometimes they miss those shots, maybe wouldn't feel the same. But when they make the shots, it can really set a tone. And then we miss some shots, and then you're in that hole. And teams like Houston feed off that, and they kind of find a way to raise that physicality, that aggressiveness, that edge even more. And we knew that was going to be a challenge for us, even coming into the game. So it got us into a hole. And it's tough when you're playing out of a hole against a good team like that.
That's lack of effort. That's all that is. That's effort. That is want to. That is something that the coach needs to get his players up for. And it's something that you saw start to turn last year with the Houston Rockets. This was also a young team with a lot of young draft picks that have been stuck in a losing mentality. They changed their coach. They bring in Ime Udoka, and it changed the culture of that team and how they play. And you saw it last season as they made a push for a play-in, falling short eventually. But this season, they were second in the West at one point this year, behind Oklahoma City. And they're still in the top 5. Like, it is the culture set from the top with the head coach through the team. And right now, this Spurs team lacks that, it feels like. Can Pop change that? Will he even be back to change that? Well, the Blitz was talking about that earlier today as a statement was released on the future of Greg Popovich, and he talked to his team about it. We'll discuss it next right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now boarding Group A. Please have your boarding passes ready to scan. If your phone is cracked, old, or was chewed up by your Chihuahua travel companion, please refrain from holding up the line. We ask that you kindly not be that guy, and instead simply go to Verizon and trade in any phone from their top brands in any condition on any unlimited plan for the new Samsung Galaxy S25 with Galaxy AI.
With new line on my plan. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
George gets justice. Hurt in a wreck? Get George. Hit by an 18-wheeler or commercial truck? Get George. Injured at work? Get George. When you're dealing with personal injury, you need to get George because George gets justice. I'm George Salinas, and my San Antonio-based firm has been recognized across the state of Texas and the United States. Call George Salinas Injury Lawyers today at 210-225-0909 or visit getgeorge.com.
George gets justice. GetGeorge.com.
Children's mental health is in crisis. That's why the Kids Mental Health Foundation envisions a future where mental health is a vital part of growing up. Families tell us the challenges are real.
What do you do to feel happy?
I don't know.
Can you describe what it feels like when you're sad?
I get mad easily. I just lay in my bed and be by myself.
When it comes to mental health, do you ever feel overwhelmed?
I do get overwhelmed. You see them struggling emotionally and you're like, where do I go? What do I do?
You're going to find tons of things on the internet, but you want it to be from a trusted source.
I felt like everything that I wanted to provide for her, I wasn't going to be able to do.
We need help.
We need help. Yes, we need help.
Most childhood health resources focus on physical well-being. But what about our kids' mental health? The Kids Mental Health Foundation provides free, expert-developed resources to millions across the United States. Don't wait for a concern or crisis. Early action can be life-changing. Learn more at kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org.
Ready for the ultimate sports fan getaway? 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star is headed to Vegas, and we're bringing you along. Why? Because watching the games from your couch in sweatpants just isn't the same. Join Jason and Joe from the Blitz for a Mega March weekend you'll never forget or possibly remember. We're talking Vegas here. March 27th through the 30th, we're hitting up Circa Las Vegas for opening day. And the second weekend of the tournament, aka Sports Heaven, baby. Thursday, March 27th, the party starts with baseball's opening day at the world's largest sports book. That's right, big screens, big games, and big opinions from Jason and Joe. It's basically like watching sports at home, but with no chores and way more pools. Speaking of pools, dive into 6 of them at Stadium Swim and catch all the action on a 143-foot screen. Lock in now. Go to CircaLasVegas.com. Use promo code BLITZ and party with Jason and Joe at Circa Resort and Casino. Sports, pools, Vegas. What could possibly go wrong?
I'm AJ Hoffman from the Morning Huddle. Join me and Rob Thompson tomorrow morning at 6. Your early morning wake-up call on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM. That's right. Don't forget to check out AJ and Rob every weekday morning from 6 to 10 right here on San Antonio Sports Star. Then keep it locked for the Rich Eisen Show. And, of course, the Blitz with Jason and Joe from 2 to 6. And then you can finish your day out with me here on Extra Innings with Pleasure. Speaking of the Blitz, earlier today on the Blitz, Jason and Joe were reacting to the news that came out as it pertains to a statement released by Greg Popovich through the San Antonio Spurs about his future and how that pertains to the rest of the San Antonio Spurs.
The Spurs sent out a press release earlier today, a statement from Spurs head coach Greg Popovich that reads, quote, "I've decided not to return to the sidelines this season. Mitch Johnson and his staff have done a wonderful job, and the resolve and professionalism the players have shown sticking together during a challenging season has been outstanding. I will continue to focus on my health with the hope that I can return to coaching in the future."
With the hope I can return.
I'm hung up on the word hope.
Yeah.
Clearly, the desire is still there for him to return to coaching, but the word hope leaves a lot of doubt in my mind that he will return as head coach of the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, I take that as it doesn't look good for him to return. I think if it did, if he was progressing to the point where he felt confident about it, I think it would have. I'll see you on the sidelines next year.
I plan on would have been better than hope.
Exactly, that would have been better. So hopefully, look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the guy comes back. I hope he's able to coach again and coach as long as he wants to. I honestly mean that, but it just doesn't sound good. And again, Pop is 76 years old, which in this day and time is I mean, a lot of coaches coach well into their 70s and 80s. But I don't know. Doesn't look good. I don't have a lot of confidence that he'll be back.
No, I know. This statement is more about Pop in his future. I might also be hung up a little bit on the Senate's Mitch Johnson and his staff have done a wonderful job. Is he watching what I'm watching?
Well, look. To be fair about this, Mitch Johnson just in over his head. I mean, he is, right? He's trying as hard as he can. He's just in over his head. That's obvious. And I'm not sure why Brett Brown is not the head coach here, but obviously that's what they wanted. And he's in over his head.
The idea, and again, Mitch Johnson, he's in a tough spot. November, December, we all gave him the benefit of the doubt, but a lot of the coaching decisions, a lot of it has just been bad. I'm with you, and we've been talking about it. I don't know why Brett Brown isn't. And if this was an audition to see if he could be, I'm going to guess the answer is no. I mean, the idea of, I heard them this morning on Greeny on Get Up, had nothing to do with the Spurs, but they were talking about the Jets getting the F on that NFLPA, and they fire Saleh and they make a guy that just isn't ready for the job the interim head coach, and it was a disaster.
Yeah,
everything they said this morning about the Jets, you could apply to Mitch Johnson and the Spurs. And Mitch Johnson, at some point in his career, might be a great head coach, but right now, I would not say he is doing a wonderful job by any stretch. Last night, I mean, it's one thing to blow 17 and 19-point leads to a pathetic New Orleans team, but you didn't even show up ready to play last night against the Houston Rockets. Last night was damn disgusting watching the way the Spurs started that game. It was over within the first 5 minutes of that game. It was just awful last night. That was awful basketball last night, and that was a team, Coach Johnson, that wasn't ready to play.
Well, ready to play. These guys should be ready to play. I mean, they should be, right? Look, I know they're tired of being on the road. I don't think there's any question about that. They've had a long road trip, all of that, but it's the NBA, and they weren't. And all that did was give some of the starters an opportunity to rest a little bit. They didn't have to play a lot of minutes. I don't know, but I'm still there. I just don't think Mitch Johnson is ready to take over. If Pop doesn't come back, I'm hoping that they go out and get a veteran. It's just too much to lose right now, because you're going to get another lottery pick. Hopefully they're going to be active and perhaps get another veteran in here. Maybe, whatever you're going to do, free agency trades, however it's going to go down, and really improve this team. And I'm thinking hitting the ground running at the very beginning of next season with a healthy Wemby and everybody we've got. I don't think that Mitch Johnson is capable of doing that. I'd like to see a veteran head coach in here to take over the program.
If Pop does decide that he's not coming back as head coach, and I really do hope that he gets an opportunity to come back and coach and end his Hall of Fame career on his terms. But that said, you look at this Spurs organization right now, and I trust that they have been having these conversations internally, because they have to decide if Pop is coming back. And up to this point, I've always felt like that's going to be his decision, and the Holtz have allowed him to make that decision. But I don't know if they can wait and be in limbo, knowing the health issues after the stroke that Pop may or may not be dealing with. The idea of that a month ago or so, we were hearing that he was planning on coming back after the All-Star break. Then with the Wemby news, what's the point of coming back? And if they would have said something like that in the statement, which would have been very un-Spurs-like to be that transparent, but right now your head coach is in limbo, but the organization is at a very pivotal part of of history, right? You've got
Yes.
Wemby. You made the trade for De'Aaron Fox. You've got a young Steph Castle. You're headed for the lottery. You've got money to spend in free agency. If you're going to bring in a coach from the outside, that coach is going to be able to put his stamp on this roster, on this team. What kind of players does he want? It won't necessarily be the way Pop would have done it. And the organization has to be ready for that. So I don't know if they could afford to wait and let Pop make a decision to see how he's feeling in July, to see how he's feeling in August. You can't go into next season not knowing if you're going to have Greg Popovich as head coach. Greg Popovich as president of basketball operations, sure. But at what point internally do they make a decision? I would like to think before the draft on the direction this organization is going to go, and that does start with the head coach.
No, I think they'll make that decision, and I think they've already had these discussions. I think the Spurs internally know a lot more than we know.
Sure.
It's simply just by the statement today, and I think they already know. I think that decision's already been made. I'll be honest with you. That's my feeling. That's what I feel, and so I think they're ready to move on, and they're ready to do what they need to do. I think Pop deserves to go out when he wants to, but I just don't think he's going to be able to. Now, again, I don't know that, but from what we were told early on in this process, things didn't look good. And so the fact that he's not back, the fact that you haven't seen him anywhere, it tells me a lot. And the fact that in his statement says, I hope to return, it just doesn't sound good. And that's an easy transition from I hope to return. Well, I've decided I'm going to call it a day. And I think that's what we're going to have. And I think the franchise already knows this, and they're already making plans to move forward.
According to reports, Pop did meet with the team today for the first time since the stroke to let them know that he would not be back. And while we have heard from guys like Chris Paul and Wemby that they do communicate with Pop, and I don't know if he's talked to everybody, but this was the first time apparently he's had a team meeting, which makes me think that after the game last night in Houston, they came back to San Antonio,
That makes sense.
repack the suitcase, sleep in your own bed. I don't know, check your mail, and then off on the road they go again for this weekend.
Yeah, and this weekend will end the rodeo road trip on Saturday as they'll return home for a game on Sunday. And then Spurs 1980 says, he'd like to let him see Castle play some more. Well, he did get some burn last night finally, but he bought tickets to go to March 4th, but he'd rather watch the beating at home on TV. And I get it. Like even going to see De'Aaron Fox for the first time as a Spur at home for a lot of people is starting to feel like more of a hassle than the worth of going to the Frostbank Center to see it. And that's part of it. Like, fans just want to see something competitive. And right now the Spurs just aren't giving you that. And you wonder, has the voice with Mitch Johnson, the way it did in Houston, just run thin? Like the coach is over his skis, not ready for it. You bring in a head coach like an Ime Udoka, completely change the culture and turn the direction of that program around ASAP. Are the Spurs in need of something like that? And the next question becomes, well, then who? Who would you like to see? Is it a Becky Hammon? Because really only one, maybe two of the players would even remember Becky Hammon from her time as an assistant coach on this staff. I think Keldon was here while she was still here. Maybe Devin. But other than that, nobody else in this organization really knows Becky Hammon like that. They weren't around when she was around coaching. So can she command that respect? Then you start to think about other potential candidates. Which way do you go if you're truly moving on Greg Popovich and Mitch Johnson? Is it a Brett Brown? Fred Kosar asks about Kerr. Kerr's under contract, so there's nothing you could do about that. So you have to start looking at the coaches that are available. Do you go with some failed coaches from around the league that have had their shot and failed once before? Is it a Chauncey Billups? Is it a Juwan Howard? Is it a Monty Williams? Is it Frank Vogel, Adrian Griffin? Is it a new up-and-comer like Sam Cassell or Chris Quinn? Is it somebody who's been in the system here like James Borrego? Are those guys that you potentially try? Do you ask Chris Paul if you decide to hang it up this offseason, do you want to take over the reins? Or do you go a different route? Jay Wright left Villanova last year. Do you approach him about potentially taking this job here in San Antonio? Do you look at Dan Hurley and the struggles at UConn that he's having this year and see maybe if he wants to make the jump? He didn't want to make it to the Lakers. Does he potentially want to come coach one of his former guys in Steph Castle here in San Antonio? That's a question that you have to ask yourself if you're a Spurs organization getting ready for what looks to be a major transition of sorts with the franchise and the direction of it. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Well, grades of organizations came out in the NFL. How did the Dallas Cowboys fare? Morning Huddle was talking about it earlier this morning. We'll get to that coming up here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with A.J. Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Friday on the Morning Huddle, the weekend arrives. We got football players running around in the underwear. Who do the Cowboys like? We'll look at it.
And what's going on in hoops this weekend? We'll talk about it all. Party starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with A.J. Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Mornings 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hey, listen up, San Antonio. Many of the successes you've had began with a great opportunity. Now, here's another one. Get started on your degree or certificate in San Antonio. Choose from more than 135 degree and certificate programs, faster onboarding, and more from University of Maryland Global Campus. Get personalized local support services and take online or hybrid courses right here in San Antonio. Visit UMGC at San Antonio or umgc.edu/SATX.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Hey, this is Rob Thompson from my good friends over at Prize Picks. Hoops are here, baby. It's time to turn the page and start playing games we can win. And now you can win up to 1,000 times your money over on Prize Picks just for doing what you love, watching basketball and picking those that you like. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money on sports action. There's over 10 million of us doing it. You should be there too. And right now, there's no better time to get in on the hoops action. If you think Steph Curry can get more than 5 3-pointers this week, now's the time. Is the freak going to get 35? I don't know. I do know this. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5, and you don't even need to win. You can receive a $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And have you ever played Taco Tuesday? That's right. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks offers promotions that can lead to big payouts. Here's how you play. Go download the app today and use the code ALAMO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I'll say it again. Download the app, use the code ALAMO, and get $50 instantly after you play your first lineup. Prize Picks. Go run your game.
The NFL lives right here. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star. 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate all y'all for riding along with me tonight on your ride home. Finishing off on what we were just talking about is the direction the Spurs maybe possibly could go. Ivan Reed brings up the name Bill Self in Kansas. Definitely has a relationship with RC Buford, so that is a way that I could see them going. Tino Ambrose says he bought tickets to the OKC game this Sunday. Day after he bought them was the day they announced Wemby was out for the remainder of the year. Man, that stinks. I'm sorry, bro. That's brutal. Also, how willing are you to potentially chip in for a new sports complex, arena, downtown model, all that, if the Spurs continue to look the way they've looked? Winning makes saying yes to something like that on a ballot, spending that kind of money, that kind of taxpayer money, a lot easier. And so it's going to be very, very interesting to see, because this feels more so than ever like a very pivotal turning point for the San Antonio Spurs in the future of this franchise. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star 941 FM, sasportstar.com. I said the grades were out. That's right. Players voted on what they liked and didn't like about team facilities, the way they're run, training staffs, etc., etc. Where did the Cowboys rank, and what does it say about them? Well, Morning Huddle was talking about it this morning with AJ and Rob.
I love this. I think that there's no better barometer to teams than the silent poll, the employee survey that supposedly no one will know it was you.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're asking everybody, but they're asking a good chunk of people apparently.
Yeah, and I think when you hear the answers, you go, "Oh, it makes sense. I get it."
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 categories that they get graded on. They get graded from an F- to an A+. And every team does it, and they stack rank all those things, and the number one overall organization for the second consecutive year is the Miami Dolphins. Now, the things that you're graded on: treatment of families, food/dining area, nutrition/dietitian, locker room, training staff, weight room, strength coaches, team travel, head coach, owner. Now, a lot of these things are interesting in their own ways.
See, this one. A's across, even the coach got an A. Not even one player was upset
in Dallas.
I'm looking at the Miami grades, and we're talking A's and A+ across the board.
Yeah.
So maybe the suits do see who's voting.
Yeah, there was not a B given out by the Miami players.
But underneath this, the underlying part of this is these kind of grades matter when we're talking free agency. When all things are equal, and the money is the same, and you're choosing between Miami and name another destination, LA, where you'd want to live. So you like both places. But then you start, okay, what's the training staff like? And, do I have to pay for my meals?
Yeah.
I mean, those little things that you go, I'll go the other place, all things being equal.
Well, let's take a look at some of the big failures here. Treatment of families. There was one F and one F-. The F was the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars. The F-, the Cincinnati Bengals,
which has been a consistent theme.
Yeah.
The Brown family.
F-. So again, if you're like, oh, am I like, you're looking at, oh, would I go here? Remember, and your wife's part of the decision.
Seriously.
F-? Nah.
Well, I'll never forget, and this has all happened to some of us. Well, you work at a new place and you get something free and you're kind of shocked. You find out everybody else got that free. Or the other thing is you go someplace and you have to pay for stuff that you used to get free.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching Moneyball, and the A's you had to pay in the vending machine. You had to buy your own Gatorade. Can you imagine? And you get the sense like the Browns probably have something like that. Like if you want a lunch, it's $1 and we're going to take it out of your check.
Bengals also the only team to get an F for the food/dining area grade. Only one. There weren't any real disasters when it came to the nutrition dietitian staff. The lowest grade was also the Bengals as a C. The Bengals have to be, I mean, they're near the bottom of this list. They end up at 24 on the list. They get, they're buoyed by a great locker room. Apparently they have an A+ locker room.
It's brand new. They had rats and leaks up until like 3 years ago.
And they are fans of their coaches. A for the head coach, A- for the strength coach, A- for the training staff. So they give some high marks there, but a C for their owner. Now, the locker rooms, the teams with the worst locker rooms, the Arizona Cardinals, F-. Cleveland Browns, F-. Denver Broncos, F. Those are things that, Washington Commanders, F. Anything to do with the stadium. Building, the Commander Stadium is like a relic.
And keep in mind, these kids are coming from, if you're coming from a high D1 program, the palaces that they lived in for the previous 3 years at the University of Texas. Can you imagine you're at UT and it is, or A&M or any of the upper echelon college schools, and then you show up at Cincinnati and it is like, what if this is Bush League.
Let me tell you this.
Seriously.
I saw the Texas locker rooms, the Texas football locker rooms in like 2009. They just completely redid that south end of the end zone, which included a full-blown renovation of the weights area and the locker rooms. And it was like a big deal. And they brought the media in to see everything. And it was like
redone it. It's been done probably twice since.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like 6 years later, they were like, "Oh, Texas is getting new locker rooms," and I was like, "Wait, they just got new locker rooms." And it's like, "Oh, dude, this is like it's like leasing a car." I mean, it's like you drive it for a while, and then it's like that's gone.
That next generation's coming; they expect something new and different. I mean, so that's kind of stuff again. When you're Joe Burrow, you started out Ohio State, you go to LSU, both of them are palaces as far, and then you end up back in Cincinnati, and you show up. And nothing works. You got cold water in the shower. There's rats running around. Seriously, his rookie year before they built this new one, it was worse than it is now.
Yeah.
And some of these organizations are chintzy. They charge you for your meals, your lunches, and all that kind of stuff. And legit, they take it out of your paycheck.
I always like to think that what was her name? The owner in Major League. Was it Rachel Phelps? Was she the owner?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I imagine like the Bengals ownership, like just like ride the bus. Ride the bus then.
And they got to squeeze the dimes. The Cowboys votes, the training staff, they're not happy with the training staff or the facilities. I get the sense that some of the facilities problem, and so much the facilities, because I've been to the Star, it's pretty nice, is the atmosphere. It's the, what we keep hearing about, the circus that is the training area and the weight room where people are always on tours and watching you work out. I imagine that has.
I would imagine so too. So the training room, the low grades, Arizona's a D-, Cleveland's a D+, and that's the only D's or worse. But Dallas gives a C, which is the lowest grade on their report card.
If you've got a problem, you don't trust your training staff for whatever reason.
Training room and training staff are the two C's that the Cowboys gave out. That is worrisome.
I mean, the training, I don't know. I cannot believe it would be the facilities, because I can't imagine that Jerry's going to spend the money. It's not about what they're using. It's how they're using it, I guess, because you lose trust in your training staff, and you've got a lot of other problems above and beyond that. You mentioned it. The training staff encompasses not only the getting better, but staying there, and also all the meals and the health that goes along with the feeding programs for each one of these players.
Well, the only team that had a lower score for the training staff than the Cowboys was the Cleveland Browns.
That's a bad sign. That's one of those endemic things.
Yep.
They like their coach.
The weight room, the Cowboys gave an A-.
Like I said, if it's straight up facilities, it could be nothing less than an A. There's nothing better out there. There's a lot of equal.
Arizona Cardinals get an F for the weight room. The New England Patriots give an F for their weight room. The strength coaches, generally, these guys scored well. I think there was only the Pittsburgh Steelers had a C-. That was the lowest grade on the board. Arizona again with a C+. Just you may have already been aware because I've been giving the worst scores. Arizona finished 32 out of 32. This is apparently like the worst franchise to work.
And they're always in the bottom.
Team travel, and that's when I get to like the that team bus in Major League, like with the Indian head on the side of it. It's like a Greyhound. It's all rickety. The Buffalo Bills, F-.
I'd give them an F just because I had to walk the tarmac to get on the plane when it's -5.
F- for the Bills travel. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're making them fly Southwest. I don't know. But F-. There are 2 Fs. New England has an F for team travel.
Do we know why? Did they give us any background as to
it
like
could
the plane
be like,
sucks or our hotels are not?
It could be. That's what it would be. It would be like you don't stay in the best hotels. Your plane is crummy or like it's not comfortable. You can't. Could be anything. The Eagles are the other one. F for the Eagles for team travel.
Crazy. It must be a bad plane.
Head coach. This is interesting because, first of all, there were no Fs given out at head coach. So the guys, there is some loyalty here to their guys. But the low grades for head coach came, Chicago had a C. Cleveland had a C. Jacksonville had a C. The Dallas Cowboys
fired and 2-time coach of the year
got an A. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. The Cowboys fired that coach. Yep. Yeah, they did. So
did you notice the other day? Now, keep in mind, and the Cowboys will always tell you, we didn't fire him.
Oh, you're right. The Cowboys moved on from that coach.
When Stephen Jones landed in Indianapolis before he went to St. Elmo's State State, they asked him about, what went wrong last year? And he basically said injuries. He didn't even gloss over coach.
Yeah.
Which again reinforces the idea that they lowballed McCarthy. He just left. But when the coach you fired, all the players give an A. Yeah. That's another one of those little insights into the team that these kind of surveys give that you go, oh, all right, well, at least we know you weren't on the same page there.
It's very interesting because of those bad grades that coaches were given, 2 of them were fired in Jacksonville and Chicago. By the way, the Chicago coach, now the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. And the other one is 2-time coach of the year, including last season. Won it over D'Amico Ryans in a split decision. Ty went to the runner. So it's just, you see some of these grades and you wonder, like, what exactly are they grading? Travel. Different aspects, the training staff, where the Cowboys did score low. What's holding them back? And can it be fixed by throwing money at it? Because Jerry Jones will throw money at new facilities. Cowboys have the best facilities in the NFL in a lot of instances. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 941 FM, sasportstar.com. Speaking of the Cowboys, could they be close to bringing back a pretty hefty impending free agent? We'll get into that coming up here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 FM, San Antonio Sports Star.
Hunger striking, snack time calling, it's crunch time. Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds brings you the boldest protein-packed crunch you can't resist with mouth-watering flavors like hot honey, sweet barbecue, and sea salt and cracked black pepper. Why settle for chips when you can level up your snacking game? Plus, they're low-carb, high-protein, and made for adventurous appetites. Score big flavor today. Grab Southern Recipe Small. Guys, if you're not feeling like yourself anymore, testosterone therapy may be the answer. Look for the VIP treatment like you'll get with the TRT experts at Synergenics Testosterone and Weight Loss. Synergenics has over a decade of TRT experience. Book your appointment at synergenicshealth.com.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Old Spice Swagger Body Wash will make you the MVP of freshness and confidence. With its irresistible scent, it will transform your shower experience, leaving you feeling fresh on and off the field. Pair it with Old Spice Swagger Deodorant, the #1 aluminum-free brand that keeps you feeling like a Super Bowl champion 24/7 when used daily. But don't wait. This dynamic duo is available at Costco for a limited time only. Old Spice, official deodorant partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 59, where freshness meets football greatness.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star. Appreciate all y'all for riding along, especially y'all on YouTube. Appreciate the conversations in the comments. It's great to keep up with everything. The Cowboys, well, free agency was a bit of a miss last year, and it took them a long time to get anything done. But they may be a lot closer to that this year, as talks from the Combine say they're close with retaining one of their own, and he's a big piece.
Now, actual news coming out of the Combine. Steven getting some work done, it sounds like.
Yeah, it does.
A lot of reports saying they are getting very close to getting a deal done, the Cowboys, an extension with Osa Odigizua, around $21 million a year.
Right. So, which is cheaper than if they would franchise tag the guy.
Yep.
So, and then you lock him in, because apparently the reports are coming out that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to make a hell of a run at Osa, and they may still do it. But if the Cowboys can lock him down and reach an agreement, then props to them. But that's a guy the Cowboys need to keep.
They need to keep him. They want to keep him. And I do think a big part of it too, knowing that if he becomes a free agent and there's a bidding war, even if you do the transition tag and you have the right to match, it's probably going to get into the uncomfortable neighborhood for the Dallas Cowboys. So get it done now. And there are reports that they are close. We'll see. And then Nick Harris at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, he's got an article, which I can't read because of paywall. Momentum is heading in the direction the Cowboys getting a deal done with Osa. What does that mean for DeMarcus Lawrence? Quote, there is a number. That number gets done, and DeMarcus is back on the field, his agent said. So maybe I'm kind of thinking, all right, I don't want to overpay for DeMarcus Lawrence. You know, Marshawn Nealon played well until he got hurt. The Cowboys have already drafted his replacement. There's still Sam Williams, but if you can bring back D-Law at the right number, whatever that is, cool. And it's a good week for Stephen Jones in Indianapolis.
Well, it is, but anytime an agent says there's a number, I have a feeling that's not good for the Cowboys. Or, right? I mean, think about it. There is a number, and if they meet that number, he's back on the field. I'd like to know what that number is, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not overpaying at all for DeMarcus Lawrence.
Mentally, I've moved on from D-Law. So if he's able to come back at a number, and look, you think about the Cowboys and their mantra this offseason.
We're going to be selectively aggressive,
which means cheap. If that number is cheap enough, then he'll be a Cowboy. That's selectively aggressive in my mind.
Well, sure, because they're selecting to be cheap. So if it's cheap, they're going to be aggressive.
But they do have some extra dollars to play with. The salary cap is official, $279.2 million, roughly $24-25 million more than last year.
Yep. Look, the Cowboys are going to have money because they'll restructure Dak and CD, and they'll find some money. I don't think there'll be any problem there. The question is going to be, how do they use it? And what do they do? Because if they signed Osa, okay, that's one. Then you got to work on Micah Parsons after that. There was also another player. They do want Jordan Lewis back.
Yep.
So it's that in itself is ambitious. And then who else can you go out and get after that? You're just talking about bringing your own guys back now. And then is there anything left after that?
Yeah, well, there could be plenty left. I mean, the Cowboys have still yet to exercise some of the things that could give them a decent amount of money, like restructuring Dak's contract and CD's contract. Both of things they don't need Dak or CD to sign off on. They can just do that with a stroke of a pen. So creating cap space is something they can create very quickly without any hassle whatsoever. And it's something that you would expect them to do, especially with one Dak Prescott, whose cap hit this year is $89 million. So you can make that change very, very quickly and open up a boatload of cap space, especially since the salary cap is set up $23.8 million this year from last year. It's going to be an interesting ride to see what happens once free agency gets started. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure. I appreciate y'all for riding along with me. Remember, check on your loved ones. You never know what they're going through in life. Love y'all all. We'll see y'all tomorrow here on Extra Innings with Pleasure.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Friday on the Morning Huddle, the weekend arrives. We got football